What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to The Breakdown. This is the series where I analyze subscriber gameplay to help you improve. In today's episode, we're going to be breaking down a kill-confirmed gameplay on the map Aquarium from a guy called Mind-less-ness. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so let's kick it off with the class that he used. And this is a bit of a strange class, but you do see some players like the Mark of J, for instance, who are beasts, and they like to stack up on attachments on their classes. So I'm not going to say this class is wrong. There's just a few things that I feel are unnecessary and I might change. So he's got all of those attachments there, and then he's got overclock and awareness. So for those attachments, the stock is great, the quick draw is great. I can't tell if that's quick draw or foregrip, but either way, not a terrible choice for that. I find a reflex sight to be a bit overkill on the VMP because I find the iron sights are excellent, but that is a personal preference sort of thing. So if you want the reflex sight, by all means use it. Rapid fire, I find to be a little bit overkill on the VMP. The VMP already fires very quickly and has an excellent time to kill. It's really only beat out by the Vesper as far as full auto guns go up close, as far as I'm aware. And I just find rapid fire isn't going to add much value to you with this particular gun just because it already kills so quickly. Also, on top of that, if you are going to cut that rapid fire out, I would also cut the extended mags out. You get 40 rounds per magazine with the VMP, which is plenty of ammo to take out at least like 3 enemies per magazine, which is really all you should need for core game modes if you're not playing ground war. As for perks, he's using overclock and awareness, and I believe he's using overclock because he's going for vision pulse kills. I think he's going for the challenges for that. So if you are going for the challenges, I definitely recommend overclock, but otherwise I would say overclock is really not that necessary. The specialist abilities in this game, you already earn them a decent amount, and overclock does help a little bit, but I feel like it could be better spent on other perks that are used all the time. But like I said, if he is going for those challenges, then great job with overclock. And then we have awareness, and he's actually using awareness very effectively in his gameplay. You can see that he has a headset, so good choice with awareness here. Alright, so let's get into the gameplay here. For the opening route here, he actually goes to a nice little line of sight here towards the stairs. But this isn't a nice line of sight for a VMP with rapid fire on it. Even with the foregrip, this is not a situation you want to be challenging with a VMP at all. If you had an assault rifle or an LMG, I would say excellent opening route. With a VMP, you want to get up close and be aggressive and get in your enemy's face. You won't be able to challenge them effectively from that range. Now skipping ahead just a little bit here, as you push up these stairs, you get shot in the back, and I like the reaction time. You spun around, you kind of expected where he might be, and you aim down sight right towards that area. You were ready for that gunfight. But he wasn't there, so you moved on. And this is what I don't like so much that you did. You went into this room and you just kind of plopped yourself in the corner, trying to take the enemy off guard, hoping that he would rush straight towards you. Now, this may work against some of the lesser skilled players that will just chase everything in sight. But when you run into a player that knows what he's doing here, you're basically just a sitting duck, and he's going to kill you most of the time. So personally, I would have just gotten right out of that room completely, just evade the situation, simply because it was the unknown. You don't know exactly where he was, you didn't see him when you spun around, so he knows where you're going to be, or at least he has a really good idea of where you're going to be, and you don't really know what he's doing here. So I would have just evaded that situation, stayed alive, and set myself up for a situation where I have the advantage against him. Skipping ahead a little bit here, I just wanted to point out that your general gameplay style is you don't like to challenge face-to-face gunfights too often, and there's nothing really wrong with that. You like to wait for enemies to walk into your sights. A lot of people might call you a camper or something like that, but it can be an effective playstyle if you're not really confident in face-to-face gunfights, and I wouldn't recommend this if you're looking to become a better player overall, especially with the class that you have. Your class is basically designed to be aggressive. You will beat pretty much anything up close with this VMP, assuming your aim is okay. This thing is just designed to win gunfights up close. So don't wait for the enemy to bring the fight to you, take the fight to your enemy. Now you may lose a bunch of gunfights at first. You probably will lose a bunch of gunfights because I can tell you're not the most confident player in those face-to-face gunfights. But if you don't put yourself in these situations, you aren't going to improve in these situations. So force yourself to play a little bit more aggressive. This doesn't mean ignore cover and rush around like a chicken with his head cut off. Just when you know an enemy is there, be aggressive, try to take him out, unless he has a great cover advantage over you. Also, one thing I noticed with your gunfights is a lot of the times you kind of just plant your feet and shoot back at your enemy, and you're using a stock on the VMP. Instead of just planting your feet, strafe side to side as much as possible. This does a couple things for you. First off, it makes you a really hard target to hit for your enemy, especially in an online environment. It can be very hard to track a person that's strafing side to side with an SMG in this game because you just strafe so quickly. Also, when you strafe, you're kind of taking advantage of the aim assist mechanic just a little bit. It helps activate that aim assist for you a little bit better, so it's easier to track your enemy while you're strafing back and forth, and it's harder for them to track you. So it's kind of a win-win situation. And had you strafed in more of your gunfights here, I feel like you would have won a lot more gunfights. It's a very small, simple thing that you can change with your gameplay, and it's going to help you a lot. Now right here is a situation where you actually did use stock very effectively to evade this gunfight. You started strafing out of the way as you were taking damage, you made it so you were really difficult to hit for your enemy, and you played it safe. You got behind cover, you saw your teammate was rushing and your teammate be able to clean up that kill, and instead of playing greedy like I probably would have in that situation, you played it safe and you stayed alive. So next, I want to talk about something that's more of your general gameplay style. It's not a specific situation, it's just generally what I noticed with your gameplay on this map, and that is you typically gravitate towards the really common high traffic area spots. And it's good that you recognize where the traffic is. It seems like you know where to go to find the kills, but the problem is you linger in those high traffic areas a lot. So I'm talking like the room towards the middle of the map that has the window and the stairs that go up to it. Also, I think it's a gift shop area where you have like all the stuffed animals and things. These are the high traffic areas. This is where you always expect enemies to be, and it's a great place to go and get kills, but it's a very predictable place to be if you linger there for too long. So instead of going to these places and then just lingering there, a much better way to handle it, especially with a class like this, is go a little bit more for the flank and try to get in behind these areas, pick the enemies off that are lingering in these areas, and then back away and attack from a different angle. Basically, poke and prod at these high traffic areas. Don't go and stand right in the middle of them and wait for enemies to poke and prod at you. By doing this, you'll be able to pick up the people that are being really predictable, and you're going to be unpredictable yourself, so that equals more kills with fewer deaths. The final situation I wanted to point out in this gameplay is very specific, and it's just basically how you handled this Talon here. It was obviously a player-controlled Talon. You saw it, you had time to escape. You could have just ran out of that room and got out of there completely. But you chose to stay and try to fight it out with your gun against the Talon. This is almost never the right move against a player-controlled Talon, just because they can kill so quickly, especially on an enemy that is not moving, or that it's only moving like straight towards or away from the Talon. The keys to avoiding a player-controlled Talon is, first off, move laterally to the Talon. Don't move straight back and forth in a straight line, either towards or away from the Talon. Absolutely don't stand still either. Move laterally, move side to side, strafe back and forth. It makes you a very difficult target to hit, because with the Talon, you don't get any lag compensation. Without lag compensation, that means you have to aim actually beside your enemies if they're moving laterally to you. You have to kind of lead your shot, and most people can't do that really effectively with the Talon in this game. So move laterally, don't stand still, don't run straight towards it, and don't run straight away from it. Also, one more option that you did have in this situation here, because the Talon was close enough to you, is you might have been able to like slide underneath it. If you would have gotten underneath and behind that Talon, a lot of players won't even bother taking the time to turn around. And even if they do bother to take the time to turn their Talon around, it usually takes a long time for them to do that, and at least you've kind of taken them out of the action for a little bit longer as they turn around to kill you, and then they have to turn all the way back around to continue killing your teammates. So it might have been a bit of a sacrifice there, but it would have been at least something a little bit better than standing still and trying to shoot back at it. So there we have it. That's pretty much everything I wanted to cover with this gameplay. I didn't cover a whole lot of really specific topics here, but definitely a few general topics that I feel will help this person improve. If you'd like to send me a gameplay for this series to be broken down, all you have to do is upload it to YouTube, make sure it's a raw gameplay and at least 720p in quality, and then send a link to that YouTube video to the email address that is in the description of this video, and I will most likely have a look at it. Keep in mind, I'm still working through a list of, I think, about 25 to 30 gameplays that I haven't even looked at yet, because once I find a gameplay that's worthy, I don't continue on looking at every other gameplay. I basically stop there and then I pick up where I left off next episode. So if you've already submitted one, don't worry, there's still some chance that I will analyze it, but also just be aware that I do have a lot of gameplays sent to me, and your odds of having your gameplay analyzed aren't the greatest, so just because you send a gameplay doesn't mean it's going to get analyzed. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.